What is gravy, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say most of you watching this are trophy hunters. I think that is a pretty safe assumption. But there's always that small chance that you aren't, and if this applies to you, then you're in luck. Because today I'm going to take you through some of my picks for great platinums to start your list. Before I get into my specific examples though, the most important piece of advice I can give you is play games that you enjoy. I know this may sound obvious, but it is so easy to fall into the trap of just playing games for the trophies and not necessarily because you want to play them. And that's where you start crossing the line from enjoyment to this is a chore, and that's not what we want. So that being said, here are 7 of my choices for great platinums to get you started. Kicking off this list with the simplest and most straightforward game, but one that blew me away when I first played it, The Wolf Among Us. Now feel free to substitute in any Telltale game of your choice here, but for me, this is the one to go for. Some people will complain that these platinums are too easy, which, if we're being honest, they are. They just require you to finish the game. No collectibles, no missables, just play through the story and enjoy yourself. But what is wrong with that? These games are some of the most compelling I've ever played, and I wholeheartedly stand behind them. They are not just great platinum games, they are great games, full stop. Now of course there are a ton of PlayStation exclusives that could have made it onto this list, and don't worry, some of them are, but it would have been absolutely criminal to leave out one of the best, and also one of the last, in Ghost of Tsushima. I will admit up front that it is quite a traditional open world trophy list. Finish the story, do the side missions, pick up the collectibles, but the way this game handles the open world aspect makes the entire journey a blast. As with every game of this type, it can occasionally devolve into obsessive map clearing, but because of how immersive the world is in this game, it's less of an issue than it normally would be. Overall, this is one of the most stress-free platinums you will ever get, and an absolute shoo-in for every beginner trophy hunter. Side note, if you want to see a much more in-depth breakdown on this game, then my good friend This Dad's Platinum Journey has you covered. He has an entire video about this platinum experience over on his channel. I will leave the link in the description down below. Make sure to go check that out. Okay, from liberating Tsushima Island to guarding the entire galaxy. Do you see what I did there? Yes, of course, it is Marvel's Avengers. Of course, I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. This game really had a tough go of it following Marvel's Avengers, but it ended up surprising us all by being a compelling and fun single-player experience with a pretty straightforward trophy list. I decided to do a blind playthrough first, but you can absolutely finish this in one go, though I would recommend using a guide because you do need 100% of some of the collectibles. Not all of them, just some. It's also possible to lock yourself out of the trophy for paying the fine. If you spend too much money when you get to nowhere, then you just simply won't have enough when this trophy comes around, but as long as you're paying attention, you should be fine. So while the combat isn't the best, and some of the swear words get very flarking annoying, it is still a fantastic game with a very enjoyable platinum trophy. Right, this next game is here because of one thing and one thing only. It is immaculate. Gris, or Gris, however you pronounce it, is like a playable watercolour painting, and if I'm being honest, it's probably the closest I've ever come to understanding art in the traditional sense. It's incredibly moving without saying a word. Out of all the games on this list, this one is by far the most tranquil. Don't get me wrong, it still has tense moments, but overall it is just incredibly calming and relaxing. And the trophies mirror this, with a few collectibles to get, as well as the occasional miscellaneous one, such as feeding an apple to a little woodland creature. There is one stressful trophy linked to a chase sequence, but even that can't stop this from being an all-round unforgettable experience. Now, one thing I tried to do with this video was cover a decent variety of genres, within reason. And so next up we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 reboot that is. I know Call of Duty Platinums are frequently very difficult and time consuming, but this entry is definitely one of the exceptions. For a start, there aren't any multiplayer trophies at all. which is nice. We like this games. On top of that, this game has one of the easiest veteran difficulty playthroughs out of the entire series. Although if you're really hardcore like me, then you do it on realistic difficulty because, I mean, have you even platinumed the game if you haven't done it on that difficulty with one hand tied behind your back and pickles down your trousers? Didn't think so. Other than that, you have 1 or 2 miscellaneous trophies per mission that can all be done on the easiest difficulty, so overall, this platinum is as simple as you make it. It also gets props for having one of my favourite levels in any COD game. Clean House really does just hit so different to me every time I play it, honestly. Second to last entry, and if you've watched any of my videos before, you know full well how much I love Little Nightmares, and believe me when I say that love definitely extends to the sequel. Just like the first game, Little Nightmares 2 has one of the best atmospheres of any game I've ever played. Everything feels oppressive and overbearing, and it just fits the style of the game to a T. Unlike the first game though, the sequel actually has a platinum. It also doesn't have a speedrun trophy, and we all know that can only be a good thing. There are collectibles though, as well as some mission specific trophies that, unless you look them up, will likely stress you out because the trophy descriptions in Little Nightmares are not very helpful. But if you enjoy spooky games and platformers, then trust me, you absolutely cannot go wrong with this one. Right, last but by no means least, we have Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now this game initially didn't make the cut because it requires you to play through on New Game Plus, but having thought about it some more, I decided that the second playthrough could be done in such a short amount of time that it wasn't enough to keep it off the list. And yes, there is also an argument to say that 2018 Spider-Man should be here, but I chose Miles' adventure for one very specific reason. He has an app. Yes, the random crimes that you had to farm in the first game are a thing of the past, thanks to the app that allows you to essentially spawn them at will, which makes this game win hands down in my opinion. As for the rest of the actual list, you'll need to clear the map, standard, unlock all the abilities, again, standard, and purchase all of the in-game suits, as opposed to the real life ones. But by this point, Insomniac's web-swinging masterpieces don't need me sitting here hyping them up. So do yourself a favour and make this game one of your first platinum trophies. Honestly, you won't regret it. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, then please do hit that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. And let me know down below in the comments what starter platinums you would recommend. Or if you're new, then say hello. I promise we're all really nice on the inside. Anyway, if you want to watch another video, there is one right over there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I've been Pete, and I shall catch you all next time.